Hello and welcome back to Slightly Twisted Female, where we go through all the clownery on the internet. And there's so much to go through, cause everybody is just effed in the head on the internet.
I'm super straight. I'm only attracted to women who can bear me children. Babe, that's called a breeding kink. And it's not a sexuality.
On the internet, they're weird on the internet. They're grooming your kids on the internet.
Oh, hey there. Now that I have your attention, I could tell you about all of the beautiful transgender women who'd be more than happy to oblige for you.
And there's a lady named Femforth. And she's a BDSM blogger, and she is going to do a video on breeding kink.
Breeding kink. This is a kink in which one is excited and possibly aroused, being intimate without protection, without condoms. Because the idea behind this kink is to inseminate someone.
My mom know I'm a demon, it ain't nothing she could do but pray for me.
Hello everyone, how's it going? It's me, Jaylene, also known as Femforth.
I don't know if you guys notice, and you'll see this throughout the whole video, the way that a lot of these people like infantilize this idea. And first started noticing that in the sort of like hentai anime vibe, where it's clearly hypersexualized and it's these almost really extreme fetishistic, kink saturated sexual vibe or even sexual content, but then it's always like hee 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 hee.
Hello. Yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm Japanese. I like Kentucky. Yeah, I like Kentucky. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Rawr. I can't help when I say raw, think of the rawr. Extra Nuzzle's pants is on you. Ooh, you're so warm.
Cutesy, childlike. It trickles down to a lot of these, you know, fetish gurus and these kink gurus.
Squirt, squirt.
It's does one of two things. Firstly, it disarms you from being like, oh, this is, you know, really hardcore, and it has some damaging effects. And the second is the sort of pedophilic undertone. Clearly.
Honey, are you freaking kidding me?
It's not women behaving like grown women, speaking like grown women. It's women acting in baby talk, talking with their hands, being like real cutesy and da-da-da-da.
를 맡고 있는 지연입니다. 저희의 많은 매력들을 발산할 테니까 꼭 많이 사랑해 주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
네! 여러분, 저희가 신인의 패기를 보여드리겠습니다.
And trying to make it just seem like this really benign, normal, just health-centered, fun-free, you know, kinky, fetish, BDSM stuff.
3 tips for motivating your kinky partner. 1, make small, achievable goals. Meeting a lot of small goals has been shown to be more effective, especially if you're neurodivergent.
Okay, let's talk piercings. Once again, this is educational content. I am a certified sexologist, so if you don't want to be here, cool, bye. But if you do, stick around. Number 1, cleaning. Cleaning is going to be super duper important.
I just struggle to understand the baby talk. Like, why so much baby talk with these like sexologists and like kinksters? Super duper.
It's super duper.
The cleaning's gonna be super duper important. Are you talking to like 2nd graders or you? What?
Well, hi! Welcome to Kinky History. This is the history they probably didn't teach you in high school.
From the artifacts you missed to the artwork that you haven't seen.
And it's how they package it. It's how they're able to make it palatable. Pay attention.
I wanted to chat today about a really cool kink fetish that has us feeling the magic of fertility. That is right, today we're gonna be talking all about the breeding kink and fetish people. But first, did you subscribe to my
Slightly Twisted Female?
Okay, okay. In this video, I'm gonna be fertilizing 3 key things. Number 1, what is a breeding kink? Number 2, why do people like it? And last but not least, number 3, 3 safety tips for breeding kinksters.
It's almost like listening to a teacher talking to a group of children. This is obviously extremely sexual adult content. So why is she behaving like she's talking to a bunch of kids?
Number 1, what is it? A breeding kink is basically an act where someone is turned on by the thought or enactment of impregnation.
AKA the fact that sex is literally a procreative act. Sex is for reproduction. Sex is fully with the intent of conception. That's why we've had to develop all of these complex technologies to be able to sidestep that little hiccup that comes with having sex.
I love cupcakes. I really love cupcakes.
Do you also love getting diabetes?
No, I don't know what that is.
And this is what we talk about when we talk about transhumanism. I think that when people think of transhumanism, they're thinking of like AI and robots and this real futuristic vibe where we take, you know, our brains and put them in a robot and living through an avatar. And that's not necessarily accurate. This is a form of transhumanism when we disconnect from the biological processes of our bodies.
Yay! Cupcake power! You're killing me!
When we try to meddle with things too much.
Surgeon has plans to transplant a uterus into a trans woman. Dr. Kaushik, a New Delhi doctor who runs the Olmec Transgender Surgery Institute, believes the surgery will be a success. Uterus transplants have been attempted in the past and have recently been successful in cis women. New scientific achievements lead Dr. Kaushik to believe that the same surgery will benefit trans women who wish to carry their own children. He believes the surgery should be no different than a kidney or any other transplant.
When we are so used to engaging in this sort of recreational sex that is departed and disconnected from its biological process and its inherent purpose. We can't even recognize those feelings of having the urge to reproduce, the drive to reproduce, that feeling that is so strong and powerful. And we're having sex with random people that we don't have strong bonds with, that we don't have, you know, haven't enmeshed ourselves and our families together and woven really healthy safety net for if that conception happens, that we're literally confused by, why do I feel like I want to have a baby and I don't want to have a baby while we're having sex? Oh, it must be a kink. It must be a fetish.
If you're feeling like you need a little bit of company, you met me at the perfect time. You want me?
I think the fuck not, you trick ass bitch.
It's bizarre. It's so crazy and kooky. I must have a special kink and I'm going to put it in my bio. I'm a kinkster. No. Try not to use ad hominems, but no, that is the purpose for having sex. That's the purpose of copulation is conception.
McLovin. No, you're not. No one's McLovin. McLovin's never existed because that's a made up, dumb fucking fairy tale name, you fuck!
We disconnect from that. We start, and especially women, we put people on a very disconcerting path that is disconnected from their bodies, disconnected from their biology, disconnected from our humanity. This has real consequences.
I.e. the enactment of someone coming inside another person through penetrative sex with the intention of getting them pregnant. Note the quotation marks. Just because this person is exploring this fetish and kink doesn't actually mean they want to get actually pregnant or actually have children while exploring this kink.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
This sets up women for failure. This sets up women for heartache. This sets up women for suffering of unimaginable kind. And Again, this is how it's being packaged. Like, it's cute, it's funny, it's lighthearted. It's not.
I will also mention that people of all genders can play into this kink as well. If you are a trans femme, you can explore this fetish through penetrative anal sex.
Trans feminine person that takes progesterone has a breeding kink.
Transhumanism.
If you are the breeder partner, i.e. the person that comes inside the other person, but you don't actually own a penis, you can use specialized dildos that actually have almost a squirting feature coming out, so it actually will simulate you coming inside your partner. Squirt, squirt. Squirt, squirt.
Squirt, squirt. Squirt, squirt.
Squirt, squirt.
You can see some people are very capable of playing into this kink without actually physically creating a wee little zygote in one's womb.
Transgenderism is a large component, and it is a byproduct of a increasingly transhumanist society. We are living through an internet avatar. We are interacting through devices. When you're talking to somebody on the internet, you're not talking to them, you're talking to a computer who is translating it for you. There is an intermediary. You're not speaking to that person. And I argue with people this all the time. Oh, these are real, genuine connections. No. This is you're speaking through an avatar. It's like you're using a drone, and the drones are interacting, and you're controlling them.
It really is more so the idea of getting pregnant that really actually turns people on with this breeding kink. Fill me up, buttercup.
Oh, you want to go in the back door? In your butt. You can do it in your pussy with your butt, and you can get when you go.
Who is she talking to? Is she talking to adults or is she talking to children? I can't tell.
But how does this idea turn them on when they're not even that interested in having babies while exploring this kink?
Yeah, how? Well, why don't you break it down for us? And like I said in my video with the simulated sex with hyper-realistic baby sex dolls, they're horrific. Apparently, the argument is that they're therapeutic for pedophiles. They're not. And this is the same idea. You know, you want to go a little bit further and a little bit further, and it's the same thing with porn. And a lot of these people who are engaging in these sort of things are porn addicted. They're not with committed partners. This is not like a really spiritual, sacred sort of sex. And it's this like dancing on the edge, and you want to go a little further, and you want to go a little further, and you want to go a little further. And again, why this is so dangerous, because we are hardwired over hundreds of thousands of years to pursue conception. Okay, and when you're literally dancing along that edge, it is that easy to fall off it. Who bears the reproductive burden of the species? Women do. Who will shoulder 100% of the fallout if a conception happens? Women do. It is like you have this saboteur, these sabotagers, these women who are selling other women these insanely dangerous ideas. It's so wrong.
This leads me to my number 2. Why do people like it? There can be many factors, but I'm gonna list 4 main ones here.
There can be many factors. Because we're biologically hardwired to seek conception during sex. Sex is a procreative act. That's it. Case closed. Yeah, we can just move on to the next point. I solved it for you.
Number 1 is, it's risky, baby. Think about how you and your partner venture into the fantasy of something that you know you shouldn't.
Who benefits from this? Who is being risked? Who's being risked? Two people. The life of the woman and the potential life of a child. That's what's on the line. And it's a game. And it's a game for men to play. Women will bear the fallout every single time. Whether she has to take a plan B, whether she has to get an abortion, whether she keeps the child and gives it up and births the child, gives it up, whether she keeps the child and raises it for the rest of its life, women bear the reproductive burden. So who's the fun, risk, who is the dice that's being rolled? It's women and then the potential lives of children. This is unacceptable.
If you're not ready to have children, etc. Because just think of the actual act of getting pregnant is a pretty big roll of dice.
Oh wow, I said the roll of dice before she said that. That's crazy. Yeah, and it's not funny and it's not cute. It's hideous. You're hideous. This is hideous. You're an awful human being. This is an awful video. This is the sort of stuff that should be taken off the internet.
Thus, in society, we have grown up to be taught to be very careful when it comes to impregnation. It's almost taboo to have a little bit of more risky sex with it.
We're taught to be very careful. No, well, you know what? That's all falling apart at the seams, so don't you worry. Rates of single motherhood are skyrocketing because we're not preparing people to build families. Women are having babies first and they're building a family around it or trying to, scotch tape something together. That is not a good foundation. Women are the ones who suffer. Children are the ones who suffer.
And so breeding kinksters can find the act of coming inside their partners a really hot thought. Some people are drawn towards the taboo. Who knew? Number 2, it's a power play. Breeding kink can be used very much within a kinky power dynamic as well. This is where the dom sometimes can use the act of impregnation to either punish or reward their sub, or it can be used as a consensual threat during a role play. Remember that power plays always have negotiations involved.
Okay, and this is the one that I really wanted to touch on because this is what is so insidious. Kink and BDSM predicates on itself on reopening the trauma of its participants. Or in the case of the sadistic partner or the dom, it is enacting their trauma and inflicting their trauma onto somebody else. And it's sort of just a revisiting, and it's what happens is when we have such strong adverse childhood experiences or very powerful traumatic experiences as an adult to the point where it literally causes a short-circuiting in the brain and it reconnects. You got to understand, our brain is full of just a complex network of connections, and those connections can bond and they can break away, and they can bond and they can break away. They can bond loosely, they can bond strongly and firmly. You have more and more connections. Something's involved. When you engage in this sort of trauma play, which is what BDSM is, you're going through a traumatic PTSD experience and you're beginning to, and especially when you're doing it through sex, then you start to create this conflation between sex and trauma. You're putting those two things together, and sex and trauma become this one bonded pair. And especially when you're acting out a previous sexual trauma that was inflicted upon you, and then you go and you reenact it over and over, what you're doing, you're solidifying the connection between pain, suffering, and sex. This primes women and it grooms women to place themselves and to be accessible to abusive men. It opens themselves to thinking that it is normal, that this is acceptable, and they begin to even almost have a sexual response to abuse. This is dangerous. I've been there. I've been there. This is not healing. That's what the argument is, that it's healing. It's not. It solidifies the connection between pain, abuse, coercion, harm, and sex.
It is not okay to start threatening your partner with impregnation if you have not discussed it before.
What happens with these breeding kinks is what it's really enacting is a very real and horrific form of abuse that a lot of women are subjected to, which is pregnancy coercion. It is a horrific transgression against the bodies of women. And again, this is exactly where we are further underscore the fact that being female is a distinct, unique experience, human experience with distinct, unique vulnerabilities. Okay? As a man, putting that in your butt does not lend you to pregnancy coercion, where someone can basically short circuit your entire life, your future, your plans, your dreams, everything you've worked for, so that you can propagate their genetics and basically reconfigure, your family tree for forever. Once you give birth to a child, you are that child's mother to the day you die and beyond.
That's usually what they do. A lot of times, right before discard, you'll get pregnant because they know they have you. Why do they have to invest any more? Why do they have to pretend to be anything? They already got you. Gotcha, right? Sucks. That's what they do. And the thing is, it's like, I call it the baby trap, but then some people will be like, there's no such thing as a baby trap. You had to consent. Okay, maybe. Have you heard of something called, I don't know, coercive control? It's where they use fear and obligation and guilt to get you to do something you don't really want to do. Or maybe they make you feel so insecure in your relationship that you think that having a child will be the salvation, that it will save the relationship, that maybe you'll see the human side of them if you bring a life into this world, but you won't. You'll actually see even worse, right? And then we're stuck. We feel stuck. But we love our kids, right? It's a catch-22. We love our kids. A lot of the times the kids become our boundary. They open up our eyes to what's happening here, so they save us. It came to that to save us. But then they use them over our heads. They use them to abuse us by proxy. They use them as a pawn. It is a very difficult space navigating having children with an abuser. It really is. It's tough, and it's a long, painful, ultra marathon.
Okay, so in this article in this National Library of Medicine, it is pregnancy coercion, intimate partner violence, and unintended pregnancy. And the background is reproductive control, including pregnancy coercion, coercion by male partners to become pregnant, and birth control sabotage, which is partner interference with contraception, may be associated with partner violence and risk for unintended pregnancy among young adult females utilizing family planning clinic services. So the study design is a cross-sectional survey, was administered to females ages 16 to 29 years seeking care in 5 family planning clinics in Northern California. The results were that 53% of respondents reported physical and sexual partner violence. 53% of women who were seeking reproductive assistance at a pregnancy clinic had reported physical or sexual partner violence. 19% reported experiencing pregnancy coercion, and 15% reported birth control sabotage. And I would argue that those rates are actually higher, because even if the man didn't go in and actually throw out her birth control or hold her down and force her, coercion is happening in a lot of these abusive relationships. And a lot of these women internalize and believe that they gave consent and they went along with it. But picking apart a woman and then breaking her down at that moment and saying, all right, let's just go for it, let's just do it, or I'm going to come in you, let me bust in you, or I want to have a baby, let's just go for it. It is not consent, okay? And that is coercion.
Both pregnancy coercion and birth control sabotage were associated with unintended pregnancy. In analyses stratified by partner violence exposure, associations of reproductive control with unintended pregnancy persisted only among women with a history of partner violence.
As pregnancy coercion conclusions, pregnancy coercion and birth control sabotage are common among young women utilizing family planning clinics. In the context of partner violence, are associated with an increased risk for unintended pregnancy. Yeah, rolling that dice because it was so cute. You know who's in that dice? The lives of women and children. Is it that cute and kinky and fun and carefree? Again, you are priming women, you are grooming women to make themselves accessible for this sort of abuse. And it starts off fun and kinky and cool, and then it starts to go too far. And who can walk away easily from that situation and who can't? Suddenly we start to have a better idea of who's a woman.
It's gonna ruin the mood pretty quick. Third reason I have is it's a primal thing. In some cases, we can also think of it as a breeder claiming their territory, kind of still like a power play dynamic, by leaving the mark of their cum in their sub. Hot thought.
Okay, so it says over half of the sample, 53.4%, reported having experienced physical or sexual violence in an intimate partner. Pregnancy coercion was reported by approximately 1 in 5, or 19.1%, and birth control sabotage was reported by approximately 1 in 7, 15%. More than 2 in 5, 40.9% of women had experienced at least one unintended pregnancy.
Now skip to my little Jersey. Oh my God, Leah, what the fuck?
As expected, due to greater exposure to more relationships as people age, reports of lifetime experiences of intimate partner violence, birth control sabotage, and unintended pregnancy were highest among older women. Even among the youngest women in the sample, ages 16 to 20 years, however, over half had experienced intimate partner violence. 18% of women in the 16 to 20-year-old age bracket, 18% had experienced pregnancy coercion, and 12% had experienced birth control sabotage. Non-Hispanic, Black, and multiracial women were most likely to report pregnancy coercion, birth control sabotage, and unintended pregnancy. So white women are the highest risk of this, and multiracial women. Birth control sabotage was most common among women describing themselves as single or dating more than one person. This is a way to trap women. So these are single women. Men are coming in and messing with their birth control, and then they're playing this, oh, let's do this kink fantasy.
And the fourth and final reason of why people would like it is it connects to your feminine or masculine self. I don't usually use gender binary in my videos, but I thought this tantric outlook would help paint a little picture. For the ones who are being breeded, i.e. the breedies, you're the ones who are embodying your feminine selves because you are being the receiver of your partner's life energy. Your fertility and your nurturing aspects will probably be the characteristics that both you and your partner are focusing on during this breeding kink play. For those who are the breeders, you'll be embodying your masculine selves as you'll be the giver to add to your partner's life energy. Your strength and your ability to provide to your partner, i.e. cum.
Yeah, baby. You really think that this is all just, you know, these men who want to engage in these hardcore role playing, just have these really like benign motivations? These are the type of men who are messing with women's right to make decisions about when and where and with whom she wants to reproduce with. It is women's birthright to decide which men she will carry and create a lineage for and carry children for. It is every woman's birthright to decide which men are worthy of having children and which men aren't. And for men who have an inherent anxiety about not being worthy and not being chosen, what do? Pregnancy coercion. Again, this is all about breaking down boundaries, about blurring the line between consent and non-consent, you know, and the vast majority of people actually aren't using safe words. We have these ideas that there's very straightforward rules and it's all very formal, and it's bunk, okay? It's bunk. It's, you know, when you're worked up in the moment and the woman is led to believe that, oh no, but you're totally in control. If you say no, we won't go forward with it. But when a man is that sexually energized and he is inside of you, again, these are deeply rooted and deeply programmed animalistic drives to reproduce. And when you're in that moment, things happen. Another thing that you need to understand too is that women are most sexually turned on during ovulation, which is their fertility window. There's a reason why women are like, oh my God, I just had sex one time and I can't believe I got pregnant. That's not a coincidence. That's when you are most turned on.
I was like, feet, as a joke. But bro, I don't think it's a joke anymore.
And you are also most turned on by the idea of reproducing. We are hardwired for these things. To think that suddenly in the moment you're going to just have all of this self-control.
Oh, am I attracted to this? No. Am I? No.
When all of those hormonal primal urges are taking over, you think that right before an orgasm you're going to be able to stop, like, oh, well, never mind. There's a reason why pull-out method doesn't work, and especially if you're already playing around with that idea of, you know, just letting it happen and just say, fuck it, let's just try it. And the idea that you're going to take all these additional steps is naive.
Obviously, these are very, very general, so if you do connect with your feminine or masculine selves in different manners, go with that. Okay, now number 3, 3 safety tips for breeding kink. Number 1, test yourself before you fill yourself. If you are a vagina owner and you truly are going to have your partner come inside with their sperm in your vagina, be sure that both of you have each gotten tested and there is some sort of form of birth control if you are not actually planning on wanting to have children. And even then, the risk of getting pregnant is 1 in 100 with the most effective forms of birth control.
That's what I have sitting in my backyard. A trampoline? Better. A boat? Better. Better. Well, what, Cartman? 33 aborted fetuses.
And if you do explore breeding kinks this way, be sure you have a complete trust and full trust in your partner that they will be there to support you in case an unwanted pregnancy does happen. Number 2, fake it till you make it. Like I said before, it's the idea of getting pregnant that's the most hot thought. You can role play the impregnation if you really want to. I'm gonna come in you and fill your womb. Can be a huge game changer in terms of setting the play scene. Here's another couple of ways that you can fake it. For all partners who are fluid bonded, i.e. you do not use condoms, you can have them pull out before they come. Obviously still a little bit risky in terms of the pre-cum that does get involved in the sexy times. Just an FYI. You can also do anal sex and have your partner just come straight in there. And for the partners who are not fluid bonded, you can use a condom and come inside them pretending you have no barrier. Remember, use the dirty talk. Or you can use a squirting dildo. Alright, last but not least for the safety tips number 3, pre-negotiate before you play. Nothing is as worse as if you're busy fucking your partner and they're saying, come inside me, and you have no idea whether they're actually role-playing or being real or not. It's such a mood kill, trust me. So best to actually talk to each other beforehand about what you actually do not want happening.
The assumption that women in these sort of arrangements have the power and the standing in the relationship to set those sort of firm boundaries, to negotiate their own well-being with their dominant partner, is either deeply and irrevocably and irredeemably naive, or it is darkly sinister.
This is so that you both are very, very clear that no matter how much sexy as fuck breeding dirty talk that you two enjoy, that you will know that there's established limits that you guys are not going to cross over. For example, I can tell my partner, I want to role play and tell you that I want you to put a baby inside me, but in actual reality, I do want you to pull out before you come. Alrighty people, now time for you to go start making some imaginary babies. And also like and subscribe
to A Slightly Twisted Female, and not this lady.
If I made you smile today. Mwah.